Welcome to OTC Live. What's going on, everybody? How are you? It's just me. Where's Jeff? Nobody knows where Jeff is. Jeff, are you around here somewhere? Nobody knows. He's around here somewhere. Actually, he's running late. Guys, sorry, I was running late. It was one of those days where, man, things just go the way they go. So you just kind of run with it. So we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about and consume. There's a lot of crypto news out, and let's get to it right now.
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
With Jeff and Chip, and looks like it's just going to be Chip for now. You know, I know that, man, my camera's all messed up here. Hang on a second. Jeff is on his way, but I ended up on a two-hour work call that wasn't slated to go 1 hour. So that's how it works sometimes. But anyway, got a lot of stuff done. Where are you coming in from tonight? So I see Connie Stewart is very first one in here tonight. We got Jacob Doyle from Kansas City. Hey, what's going on, Kirsch in North Carolina? Drop it in there, guys. I'm going to go ahead and run through as we start talking about some of this stuff. And I see we're dropping articles in there. I'm going to see if I can grab that one. If I don't have it, Apex threw that in there. Let's see what this is exactly. Looks like, yep, that's something we're going to be talking about. It's actually one of the very first things we're going to talk about. Well, maybe not first, but Jeff will join. I know he's en route. Helicopter's on its way to the studio as we speak. But again, guys, always great to have you in here. And I don't know what's up with my camera tonight. It's something else. Oh, you know what? That's a Bloomberg, and I do not subscribe to Bloomberg, and I won't subscribe to Bloomberg, so I will not get in there. I try to get that article earlier, but I gotta tell you, what's interesting, what's going on in crypto. I mean, we talked about mass adoption, and everyone was saying mass adoption. You know, it could be years away. It could be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 years out. It probably will take 10 years to actually get this puppy working. You know what's funny? One of the second oldest banks in the United States, called Mellon Bank, right? Mellon Bank is doing something pretty amazing. What they are doing is they're custodying crypto, and it's pretty interesting in the sense that you wouldn't have expected like an old-time sort of a bank like Mellon. Now, you might have expected, which is really brings us to another story, or I would say situation, is why isn't someone like Wells Fargo? Now, they are the oldest bank here in the United States, and actually, if you look at their, let me pull them up here, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you they brag about it in their logo. If you're used to seeing their logo, let's see if they still have it in there. Well, it's not in their logo, but they have a stagecoach. They have like a horse, a stagecoach, like, hey, we've been around here. And I've actually been to some of these conferences where you walk around the floor, and they actually have a stagecoach that they would bring. Fake horses, of course, not gonna bring real horses in there, but they would bring some fake horses, and that was pretty good. Everything 7's got it down. Please smash those thumbs up. They really help the algorithm. And subscribe. If you're first time here, subscribe. Click that notification bell, and then you're notified every time we go live. Now, I went a little live later tonight, but these things are bound to happen. But before we get to that, I wanted to share this article here. Let's go in here. Let's go take a look at this for a second. So this is an interesting article. I had to laugh a little bit, but I thought it would be fun to share. More people are hodling Bitcoin, hurts the case for buying, selling with it, says Morgan Stanley. Now, we always talk about the old guard. You know, what happens when the old guard wants to give their idea of what's happening in the world? Well, they always compare it. They always go back in history, and they think it's the stock market, right? So what they're saying here is they're saying holding amounts of Bitcoin worth more than $1 million, right? And are on the rise. Well, yeah, that's what people are doing. They're not sitting there buying Bitcoin as it's elevating. You know, they act like these. It's just incredible. Let me turn off this ad for a second. Come on. So this is an article written by Jamie Crawley. This is over at CoinDesk. Says Bitcoin liquidity appears to be falling as the demand that has driven the recent bull market appears to be concentrated among a relatively small number of investors who are unwilling to sell, according to new research by Morgan Stanley. And I got to tell you, you have to sometimes wonder about Morgan Stanley. They've been around forever and a day. They're always talking about, the good old days. They're talking about, I don't even know. They're always going back in time, but they are talking about this idea of there are addresses out there that are holding amounts of Bitcoin, about 8%, 8.5% worth of more than $1 million on the rise, with wallets holding over 100 Bitcoin, owning over 60% of all coins issued. Almost 30% are held in wallets now between 1,000 and 10,000. In the report, they said that the Bitcoin as a mean of exchange becomes harder to defend if liquidity continues to fall, as it won't be as attractive a vehicle for trading goods and or services. Now, they're talking about liquidity here, and they're making somewhat of a point, right? But the issue with liquidity might not be, that's the whole idea of Bitcoin. The whole idea of Bitcoin, there's going to be 21 million Bitcoins total. We know that 3 to 5 million, we don't know the total number yet, but 3 to 5 million are probably lost forever. People were mining back in the day. They were 20, 30 cents a Bitcoin. They were completing contests to get 20 cents in Bitcoin. They didn't care. They threw out their hard drives and realized they were worth, several $1,000,000 later. So when it comes to that, they don't really care too much about that. What is this Matic thumb up? Matic thumbs up. You guys see where Matic did a whole rebrand? Matic now became Polygon. Did you guys see that? It's an interesting choice of names. I don't know if you guys saw that. I saw that story. I don't know if you guys would be all that interested in it, so I didn't really put it up. Lenny R says, some don't want to sell and others lost their passwords. Like myself and a Coinbase account. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, Lenny. No, I hope that wasn't too big of a hit to you, man. That's not a good thing. Hey, how about John Doe Crypto says, Texas, Florida connection. How about a shout out of Texas, Chip? Shouting out Texas right now. What's going on, John Doe Crypto? I'm going to shout you out, man. I'm really sad to see what happened in Texas today. There was a very bad accident. So just prayers for families out there. I mean, if you guys saw this pileup, it was just horrible. I mean, what happens is the roads got icy there. Like my brother lives in north of Dallas, and he said it took him 2 hours to get to a location because the roads were iced, and apparently it would have taken him maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but he said he went extra slow to make sure that it was going to be. Yeah, thanks, man. You rock. Nice, man. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Kurt says he loves the show. Thanks a lot, man. Again, we do what we can to try to find it, but you guys fuel the show too. You guys will give us, from time to time. What is 9:15? Bernie says 9:15. I'm not sure what that is. San Antonio. Yeah, San Antonio. Again, that I believe where was that accident today? Was it in San Antonio? I thought I saw San Antonio. San Antonio is beautiful. By the way, went to a conference there 2 years ago. I fell in love with it, man. The whole way that those man-made rivers, I was on a hotel staying there. I just, the street scene and riding scooters all around. That was a lot of fun. So here, yeah, very good one, Mark. Mark's right on this. So he just read that Ripple patented ODL. It's only in the U.S., but yes, they indeed did. That's a story we'll talk about too. Strictly to be used as XRP, and how much do you think this will affect price in the future? Well, what I do like about this patent, usually when you're granted a patent, it takes some time to put through. It's not something that happens overnight, but I do like the idea of the way the patent is created, about how the liquidity happens. It's about a process. So they own a patent on the process, and generally when you file something in U.S. stateside, and I've been through this patent process, or if you're in the UK, you call it patent, or the EU, you call it patent, but here we call it patent. And usually when you file domestically, the rules are a little bit different. Like the EU has its own set of guidelines, Australia does, over in Asia and Japan. But the idea is that it's US only at the moment, but I don't know, I don't really have some clarification if they actually filed. So Maynard's saying, hey, way back in 2014, I had an account of a certain site that pays Bitcoin every article uploaded. I have a couple of Bitcoins there now, but the site is not accessible anymore. Ouch. So, yeah, that's interesting. Wow, that's a bummer. I wonder if you can get in touch with somebody, or if somebody just had access to that wallet or how they had that. But this is what I heard a lot of. People did like a lot of little things. You would fill out a survey and you'd get a couple Bitcoins. And this is 2014. It's pretty interesting. What else we have here? I want to see if I can. Usually I queue up these here. Let's go right here. So let's talk a little bit about the patent while we're on the subject here. Ripple obtains the patent for on-demand liquidity in the U.S. They received the patent for on-demand liquidity from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office on January 26. I think somebody unearthed this recently. Like it just got some notoriety lately, and I think that's just because I forgot. I would love to give the attribution, but somebody was digging around, and somebody on crypto Twitter, I think, uncovered the fact. So back in December 2019, they applied for the patent on on-demand liquidity. Now that it's granted a few days ago, and I gotta say, this is record time. It is record time. Filed for patents before, and they can drag on. It depends. It's not necessarily the patent attorneys, but they can drag on. I'm really impressed by how fast this moved. And obviously, there's the patent number granted by the Patent Office for a networking computing system implementing an on-demand liquidity for cross-medium transaction services. It's listed as Ripple Labs, inventions attributed to Warren Paul Anderson, Dottie Armisen, Jesse Braun, Bronner, Gunnar Christensen, Connor McNamara, David Novakova, and David Oppler. Now, I don't know, it's funny because we definitely know who Warren Paul Anderson is and Dottie Armisen. I don't know these other people, but generally what's nice about that, when you file a patent, you put the inventors in there. So these are people who are directly involved with the creation of the on-demand liquidity, and regardless of where they go in life, if they leave Ripple or whatever, that patent follows them. So they're always going to be on the patent, but Ripple owns the patent, but they're always going to be credited as the investors. And usually when you work for a company, it really depends, but usually when you work for a company, they have strict rules around that, about how it's created. Like you go to work, usually in the employment agreement, it talks about anything created using their computers or on their time, it becomes the property of that company. And in a scenario like this where they're actually getting credit on this, doesn't matter where they go in life, they're always going to have this patent that's going to be able to follow them. And then on your LinkedIn profile, you can list the patents that you're involved in, which is kind of a nice thing as well. The computing system can facilitate cross-medium transactions through a use of digital currency. And what is that digital currency, everybody? That's right, XRP, that's right. Computing system, but it's also the thing about the on-demand liquidity. You guys remember this ODL is pretty new, when they rolled it out, and having the ability to do the liquidity through the exchanges is a big deal. It's going to transform a lot of what's happening out there. It says it can provide a guaranteed exchange rate and manage customer pools or slippage balances in digital wallets to adjust digital currency transfer amounts in order to align them with the guaranteed exchange rate. Now, a lot of the way that they can actually do this has to do with the fact that Ripple has the ability. First of all, it's a very fast transfer, but even in a very volatile marketplace, if Ripple was price of Ripple was on its way up, 3 seconds, usually they probably can get it there very quickly, and they're going to, whatever that lock rate is, they can adjust for it on the other side, and that's exactly what this is. So in order to do something like this, you need something that's very fast moving. But the fact that the patent really borders and centers around this whole idea of preventing the slippage, and this is a lot of the problem when we talk about effects issues, and Jeff's talked about this a lot with his company. When you're dealing overseas, you're trying to put stuff through, and the problem is you got fluctuation, you have the effects rates and with the fiat currency, and if you have any sort of delays, even an hour delay can change on both sides. The nice thing about using a digital asset is the digital asset usually doesn't fluctuate all that much, but it possibly can. And so they get into it here. Despite the fact that how on-demand liquidity works, it's actually well known. There are some surprises in the document. For example, the patent for XRP-based payment solution states that the technology is not limited to banking institutions or currencies. Now, I don't know why that comes as a surprise. We talk about it a lot here. Certainly in the community, we've talked pretty extensively. But I think there's a misconception. I think out there, you have a lot of people who think they've basically taken Ripple and they've sort of stereotyped them. Ripple, it's a banker's coin. It only works with banks and financial institutions. It's a banker's crap coin and all this kind of stuff. And what they don't realize is that there are multiple use cases for XRP. And Brad Garlinghouse has been very vocal. He's actually come out and said multiple times that, yeah, this is the first use case we came across. It's not the end all be all. It's not going to be like we're going to end there. That's all we're going to do. No, not at all. But I can kind of understand the way this is looked at from, let's say, the media here. What's up, Professor XRP? Good for you to stop by. Jorge Pacheco is here. Good to see you, man. Didn't see XRP on that document. And then we say, so they're kind of surprised that it says it's not limited to banking institutions or currencies, but may rather be implemented for any exchange of value. For example, commodities, other digital currencies and assets, bonds, stocks, securities, etc. And what they are doing there is they are doing something called covering your bases. So, and again, this is where they start pigeonholing it. If you're going to put something together, the use case is not going to be very narrow in scope. It's going to be broad. And the fact that they can go ahead, because what happens when we start tokenizing stocks, right? You know, the solo coin, tokenizing stocks, tokenize, bonds, securities. It's not going to end there. Any other commodities can be involved in that as well. But I like the way the press actually looks at this. Further, they say the document notes that on-demand liquidity can be used not only by banks, financial, blah, 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 blah. And corporations and government entities, likely covering use in the context of a digital central bank currency. Now, this is interesting, isn't it? What have we talked a lot about? The CBDCs. What has Ripple's last approach been as of the last 2 months? They've authored a couple of articles. They put a lot of stuff out on social media, and they're really talking a lot about how they can get involved with the central bank digital currency, affectionately referred to as CBDCs. And this is something else. It sounds to me like the author of the article is also a little bit taken back by it. In various implementations, originating institution and the destination institution can also comprise clients of the transaction service. Can include cross-medium or cross-border transaction entities such as large financial institutions, multinational corporate entities, government entities, or non-government agencies and organizations of the like. So this is pretty broad in its scope, but again, remember, this is only in the US. Now, knowing Ripple, knowing the fact that they've got offices overseas, they probably have instituted something very similar because they want to have, it's only going to be enforceable if you're in the US, but again, depending on if you're in the EU or if you're other places, you're going to have different regulations around it. So, all right, this is cool to see. Wow, we're almost at that. We're almost breaking 53. And guys, you know what's exciting about this? Look at all the naysayers and all the so-called experts out there. What were they calling for when the SEC dropped this complaint against Ripple on December 23rd? Man, panic ensued. Oh my God, Ripple's done. They're going under. We share some of the FUD articles because we like to laugh at them here. But they're like, I can't believe it. It's over for Ripple. People are leaving in droves. Yet, despite all that, despite the fact that they dropped that complaint, what did Ripple say? Well, they've been signing up customers. They've been signing up 2 customers roughly a week or so, despite the fact that, okay, this dropped, whatever. And what it's looking more and more like, especially when we're hearing a lot from Hester Pierce. Hester Pierce coming out and saying, well, we need a better way. Obviously, we're behind the 8 ball. We're not doing it right. There's a lot of things regarding that she's been sort of on the. Okay, thank you. I'm seeing in here. That's who it was. It was user XR Patience. That's who it was. Discovered the patent approval. Described the system very accurately with the following words. Number 1, accept requests for fiat to fiat. 2, look up the exchange rate. 3, convert to on-demand liquidity via XRP. Send XRP to destination, convert to destination fiat. And that's all done through the XRP ledger. Whole process done in seconds or fractions of a second. ODL guarantees the fixed exchange rate by querying a variety of exchanges for rates before executing the transaction, taking into the account the current price, predicted volatility, and everything else. So it might not seem like a big deal, but this is very difficult to do these days. To be able to guarantee something like that, guarantee a rate when you're moving from one side to another. And this is, I think, I probably have been more excited about this than some of the news that's come out about Ripple, only because I see how serious they are about on-demand liquidity. I see that they're really jumping out there. They're taking it serious, but if you're going to put together technology, you better be willing to back it up. The way you do that is you file a patent. So they're sort of locking that up. Now, it doesn't mean that other people couldn't come along, but the process that they're talking about and that they've developed is patented in the US. And I'm hoping it'd be nice if someone out there, even XRP Asians, or whatever you want to call it, it'd be nice if we could find out and learn a little bit more about this, because yeah, Professor XRP says, yeah, we're on a slow and steady climb. But it's a nice climb. It's good to see that. When you start seeing, look at Polkadot's coming in at 25 right now, Chainlink 27. Even Bitcoin Cash at 533 as we're doing this. Bitcoin's touching 58,000. Ethereum's right knocking on $1,800 USD's door. Cardano took a little bit of a slippage back. They broke over, I think they went as high as $1.14. They're back to like 92. But again, Cardano's taken off, and then also too, XLM looks like it's going to have a nice little breakout as well, which is pretty interesting. John Doe says, shorting to move into another is risky, but I like how you're going to XRP. Be safe. That's really good. I'm sure he's explaining that to somebody else. But yeah, when you're talking about, I've never been really one to FOMO into something. Nah, it doesn't mean I haven't felt the FOMO. It's like, oh my God, what am I missing here? Fear of missing out, or FOMO, as we like to say. What am I missing out? And when things start going green, you always have those conversations with yourself like, man, I was looking at Polkadot when it was $4. Man, I was looking at Chainlink when it was, and back in the day, you can't get in the time machine and go back in time. But that same thing could be said for now. Man, I was looking at Cardano when it was 92 cents and it's $4, right? So it's all done in perspective. Where you're standing today, it's always easier to look back. Everything looks clearer when you're looking back in the rearview mirror. But at the time, there's an unknown. Nobody knows what kind of situations or geopolitical things are going to happen in the universe to actually change things. Nobody knows. Hey, what's on, Chris? Hey, SB, what's up, man? Good to see you. Long time. Alt season is a great so far. XRP slowly building up for something nice, finally. I have a feeling it's going to build up something really nice. I feel like 2021 is going to be the breakout year. And the reason I feel that way is because the way the market is fluctuating so much, especially when, people were being called crazy if you said that Bitcoin would break the all-time high of 20,000. They're like, yeah, it might get up there again. Then people said, well, no, it can hit 30,000. Now, when you're looking at 50, it's pretty reasonable to think that 100,000 is doable. It's not out of the ordinary to say, well, there's no way it could hit 100,000. Of course. Would you tend to believe that now it's more doable to hit 100,000? Do you still think that's out of the neck of the parameters that it could hit 100,000? Or do you think 50 is what it's going to be touching and kind of like sticking around there for a while? But my point is that when it was $3,000 a year and a half, 2 years ago, if I said that, well, it's going to hit 50,000 in the next year and a half, 2 years, you've been like, no way, Chip, you're nuts. But now that we're touching 50,000, how crazy is it that you think it might hit 100,000? It seems a little bit more reasonable to assume that, given the kind of companies that are investing in it. They're talking about Apple potentially going in with $5 billion. You see Elon Musk going in $1.5 billion. So when you start looking at all the people and players and the people that are putting in, well, it's a total different game. What's up, Crusaders fan? Exactly how I feel regarding the coins I was going to buy or have already sold. Yeah, but you know what? I will tell you something, a Crusaders fan. I will tell you something. Never be disappointed that you made a profit. If you took a profit, you made money. If you made money in crypto, think about all the people that do not make money, who jump from one thing. As if you buy at the top as it's coming down and you panic and hit the panic button, you lose money. People that FOMO into something didn't do a lot of research or just market conditions. So you can never really feel bad. I tell this all the time. You buy Bitcoin in the 180 to 200 range and sell it in the 850, 880 range. You think it's fantastic. Man, I never thought that was going to happen. No one told me. No one knocked me on the shoulder and said, listen, man, I'm from the future. Hodl a little bit longer. It gets better. Nobody does that, But I'm thinking if I had a time machine, I might go back and maybe get back to some people in the community. I'd be like, hey, I'm Chip. They're like, who are you? You don't know me. I'm from the future, but I've got an important message for you. Bitcoin, XRP, buy and hold it long term. That's all you have to know. Just write it down. You don't know me. You will know me in the future, but just write it down. And we can always run those scenarios in our head. It'd be great if we could go do that, right? But the truth of it is, it doesn't exactly work that way. Now, another bit of interesting news, which I liked growth in the ecosystem. I always think that's a very good thing. Bitso, as you guys know, Bitso, based out of Mexico, is a partner of Ripple. They were responsible for bringing a lot of that cross-border stuff in from the Philippines. I think it was 10, 12, 13%. They plan to incorporate QDEX's high-performance trading engine across the exchange. So they have acquired KDEX, I think it's called KDEX, a crypto derivatives trading platform based and regulated in Gibraltar, which is interesting. Gibraltar being... I passed Gibraltar once on a cruise ship. I waved. Nobody waved back. It's big. But anyway, so Bitso, backed by Pantera Capital, Coinbase Ventures, and others, was in the news last December, having raised a whopping $62 million to help scale the business into new territories, also explore new products. The commercial terms of the KDEX acquisition were not made public, but Bitso CEO Daniel Vogel told CoinDesk it was a good fit for a number of reasons. So it's interesting that they're looking at this because, when you think about being a partner and you think about Bitso and they've got a lot of penetration into, South America, Central America, and you look at something like this where they're going to be picking up a crypto derivatives platform, maybe they're looking at having this, regulated, throughout South America and Central America and the Latin community, because maybe they're seeing an opportunity to create a derivatives product just for that marketplace, and maybe there isn't one, but obviously they're seeing some sort of an uptick or some sort of a benefit. So they quickly, was easier to acquire something. There's the old adage in tech and cryptocurrency: buy versus build. Build, you got to figure it out. You have a lot of problems to solve. You don't know how long it's going to take. Buy, it's a dollar amount. You take the team. You usually acquire the team for 3 years. They come in. A lot of times you've heard of this term called acqui-hire. A lot of times the team is more valuable than the actual company or the product that they do. And you've seen a lot of these in the crypto industry where they acquire the talent. Maybe they made a stellar product, but it's not good enough to be, it didn't really get traction or whatever, but they're more interested in what the team can produce. So they do an acqui-hire, which is one of the things. 35K is Hopium. So are we talking about 35K? All right, so this is coming in from Critical Thinker. Are you bullish on XLM short term versus XRP? I think it's a hard one to say, but I think, XLM right now at the moment, the Stellar Foundation is set up in a different manner. It's set up very differently versus, like, say, Ripple, which is a centralized company. But in some ways, I do feel like XLM has been making some moves out there, and I think it has a lot of potential, and I kind of see these as a brother and sister relationship, right? Even though they have two different sort of targets and what they're maybe going after, at some point you're going to see a blending. Now, what I don't see for XLM is a lot of technology. Now, what they have made some inroads on the CBDC side, right? So there's someone over in where is it? I'm probably gonna get the name of the company wrong, but anyway, someone is using their blockchain, and they want to use the blockchain because they want to build their CDBC off of it. And originally, Jad McCallick said that they wanted to be more retail oriented, peer to peer, like person to person, and it sort of changed. But I think as time goes on, we're going to see a blurring of those lines because they're both similar. They can both transfer in 3 to 4 seconds, a few drops each. So there's a lot of things that are advantageous to both of them. But XLM has some other potential, I would say, benefits or advantages maybe that XRP doesn't have. And I just think that comes down to the team and maybe some of the people they're working with. But I mean, I'm kind of bullish on both of them. I think they're both going to succeed and win. That's just my personal opinion. It's not financial advice. Just one guy, Chip, a guy that does a YouTube show with Jeff, who no one knows where he is right now. Anyway, he's He said we'd be in around 8:30, and here we are 9 o'clock. I don't know. He may or may not show. And I had to start late because I ended up having one. The Ukraine. Thank you very much, Charlie Horse. Appreciate that. I think it was the Ukraine. Good job. That's what I rely heavily on you guys. Look, can't remember it all. That's what you guys are here for. So Andrew Nation says foundation equals blowing seeds into decentralized wind. There you go. All right. So Vlad says Chip is right. We made some gains no matter how low. We are really on the top of the chain here. We should appreciate. And I see people just finding out about crypto only now and FOMOing in the wrong investment and losing. That's a really good point, Vlad, because what I can't tell you how many people. It's almost embarrassing. I get a call and they're like, "Hey man, what's up? I haven't talked in a while." You're like, "Yeah," and I'm almost waiting for the next sentence. It's like, "What do you think about Doge?" And I kind of know what's coming, but it's really comical. And I don't know if you guys have had this similar experience where it wasn't Bitcoin, wasn't XRP, wasn't Ethereum, it was Doge. And what I say to that is, well, look, I'm not that big on it. You could make money, or you could be left holding the bag. If you bought it at 0.0003 and you bought a million of them and it went up to 8 cents USD, congratulations, I applaud you. If you're the guy that bought in it when it was 0.75 and it went to 0.78 and then dropped back down to 2 and you hit the panic button and lost your money, the problem is that it can turn people off, but the flip side is there's a lot of upside to it as well, because it brings people in. They look around, they start smelling, this is different. This is cryptocurrency. What else do we have going on here? Okay, crypto, what do we have here, number one? Well, we have Bitcoin, $48,000. A little rich for my blood. What are we looking at? Ethereum, well, that's coming in around $1,800. And can you imagine what happens, just if you can, imagine what happens when there's some clarity. In other words, let's suppose something happens with the SEC and this Ripple thing, and they say, yep, it turns out that it was a security. You sold unregistered securities, but we're very clear that it is a cryptocurrency at this moment in time. It's decentralized and everything else. If you're a company out there and you just put $10 million or $100 million into Bitcoin, and you buy one Bitcoin at $47,000, or how many XRP, how much XLM, how much Cardano, right? You guys start to get the drift here. How much can you actually buy? And if you're going to double your money in Bitcoin at 47,000, you got to get into the 90s, right? So you're going to be waiting a little bit. You buy XRP at 52 cents, you hit $1.04, you've doubled your money, right? And your chances of 3, 4, 10x in your money, the potential is greater. Now, will it happen? That remains to be seen, but the potential is actually, it's actually there. So that's one of the things. Doge is a good boy. I love that little Doge dog, man. And I got to say that we've laughed about some of the some of the memes here. I mean, they're pretty funny. The one that Elon Musk is putting out, you have to laugh because they are pretty funny. I wanted to see if I could find. By the way, if you guys are on, whoever's on out there on Clubhouse, I'm trying to connect the crowd on Clubhouse. If you go there and look for Chip, I go by Chip there, but you can go by my same username as my Twitter. But the reason I'm trying to do that is I'm trying to create a thing where we can actually create a club over there, and then we can get a couple people talking. So we might get, myself, Jeff has to wait because he's on Android. It's only iOS only, so it's going to eventually be on Android. But we can start up a room. We can have multiple people. I can talk about experiences. We can get more interactivity there, which would be kind of nice, which I like the idea of doing that. So that's what I'm trying to do. I know Sherdon was asking me for an invite. I just passed out my last 2 invites. But as I start doing more on the network, I certainly will. There will be more. There'll be more opportunity. I wanted to pull this up because this is something that guys know John Deaton. John Deaton basically was a superhero attorney that stood up for the XRP community. Filed that writ in the middle of the night. It was wee hours on January 1st, 2021, and so John put out this tweet, and I wanted to talk about it. He quoted me saying, yesterday when I said we were in the 3rd inning of the crypto revolution, you were right to correct me and state we're still in the 1st inning of the game. It's just the beginning. First, the oldest insurance company with Mass Mutual and now the oldest bank. And what the point I was making is, and all I said to John was, I said I think we're in the first, I think we're at the bottom of the first, right? And that we're kind of a ways away. You know, people have compared it to the beginning of the internet, 93, 94, 95. But then you have to think about there's less than 0.25% of the world's population that owns. So that's right, you person, you are way ahead of the curve. You are like no other. You're an early adopter. You are first running out there, and guess what? You have that first mover advantage to learn more about the space, watch how it develops, watch how DeFi is coming on strong, the Flare, the Spark token, all the different ways you can make money. It's just incredible what's happening. And this was something that Pompliano posted, break-in. This was the BNY Mellon, the oldest bank in America, just announced they're going to custody crypto for their clients. Eventually, every company will join the revolution. And I totally agree with that everybody will join the revolution. But when we're talking about banking, look at how quickly this came together. We had, Brian Brooks, he was the former comptroller of the OCC. He comes out, I want to say July, August range, somewhere in there. And he comes out and says, guess what? We okayed it with the SEC. Banks can now custody crypto. And people are like, when's the moon, Chip? When are we going to moon around here? I mean, I'd like to see some type of a moon. And then we're thinking, well, wait a minute. Banks can custody crypto. Start thinking about that, unpacking it a little bit. What does that mean? Well, here's what it means. It means banks can get in the game. That means the bank can charge you a monthly fee to custody your crypto, insure it, make sure that it's safe, because we always talk about the newbies that come in here. And even us that have been around the block a little bit, if you have a cold storage wallet and you're sending it from an exchange, that panic, the sweat starts pouring down your face. You're like, where is it? It hasn't shown up yet. Oh my God, did I make a critical error? What happened? It's been longer than 4 seconds. I don't know what's going on. And then boom, it's there. So, it's all a matter of perspective, and no matter what you're doing. But I have to say that the bigger thing for me, Mass Mutual, yeah, that's one of the oldest insurance companies. There's a reason they're going into it. There's a reason these companies are putting 1% into their bottom line, and it goes back to something else that I had shared as well. And again, will I be able to find it? I don't know. I might be able to, but there's something else that I wanted to find, and if I don't find, I usually like to throw these things up on screen. Man, I wish I could just find half of the things that I say out on Twitter. I don't really say too much, but I say stuff every once in a while. James M says, yo, what's up? All right, so mathematic, alphysical, alchemical, albiological. The only poor performers are the privacy coins, Dash, Zec, and Monero. I don't know about that. I mean, I think Monero is going to do very well. I think you got somebody really powerful at the helm. Yeah, this was a really sad story. We actually covered this here. But Matthew Mellon died with millions of XRP. And this is one of these things where he died suddenly. And he did not. This is something we all have to think about. If you have somebody, you might think, well, I have a little crypto here, and I have an old wallet here, and I have something. But if something happens to you, how is your family going to benefit from that? It was something that happened. That's a really, Dieselhelm, thank you for reminding me of that. But yeah, that was a pretty sad story, because the family is out, right now. I mean, it could potentially be, a decent amount of money. We don't know exactly how much he had, but how sad is that? What a sad story, So that's why you guys want to make sure that, somebody, your spouse or your family member or somebody knows what you're doing. You have to be able to do it, because if you don't, you don't want to leave your family in the lurch. And you don't realize how many logins you have. Well, I got a login here. It's a different complicated password. I have a login over here. Oh, and I have this login over here. And then I had an old wallet here. Add them all up. But have some kind of a plan. If you have a safe in your house, if you whatever your plan is, make sure that you're accounting for it, because you want to make sure that you're taking care of those loved ones, right? Because on your way out, you don't want to be like, oh, I think this is my last 7 seconds of life, and oh, yeah, he died with his keys. That's right, Kelly. He died with his keys. Nobody knew what his keys were, and there's no way for them to retrieve it. So that's the sad part of it. It's gone forever, and that's part of that story that's going to happen with Bitcoin, where A lot of that money will be gone forever. Nobody will ever see it again. And Kalika over on Twitter says X. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what we have there. Somebody's saying about X there, so there you go. Where is this stuff? I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking to see if I can find this. This is weird. Jeff said he'd be in around 8:30. He probably thinks the stream is over and didn't realize that I had to go late. So I forgot to share this one from Deaton too. He said I said we may be at the bottom of the first inning when I commented on that. Batter up. I put this. This was the original one. He said, and this is another good one to think about. He said, I don't think people realize how quick this is all going to happen. Miami and other cities are looking into paying its employees in Bitcoin. Companies are buying Bitcoin as their treasury reserve. It's only the third inning. And he was commenting on a story by Cointelegraph saying Twitter is looking into the ways to pay employees. Now, if you guys don't know about the Miami mayor down here, guy's like, he's young, but he's doing his best. What we're building down here in Miami is going to be known as what Silicon Valley was known for tech companies. He wants Miami to be known, and why not? We don't have state tax down here. We're open for business. Half the other countries shut down right now. What he realizes, a young guy, smart guy, and he's doing everything he can to give tax breaks, incentives for cryptocurrency, type, blockchain companies to come set up shop in Miami. It's beautiful. Palm trees. Someone was in here from the Bahamas last night. You take a little puddle jumper over there. Boom, you're in the Bahamas. A great place to hang. Not too far away is Bermuda. You can drive to Key West. I mean, it's great. Cuba's right there. You got Dominican Republic. You're just like, you just can go almost anywhere. It's like these are a lot closer. It takes you 5.5, 6 hours to get to California from Miami to, let's say, San Francisco, which I used to do that route a lot. And man, that gets to be a haul. But man, you're like in an hour, 2-3 hours of all these little places that you can visit. This is somebody who's forward looking. When you're looking forward like that, it's fantastic. Now, we were talking about the price. This one was in the Daily Hodl. An analyst says that XRP is poised to pop and outperform Bitcoin. What? Here's his target. So, pseudonym crypto strategist with the large following on Twitter, bullish on XRP, trader known in the industry as Credible Crypto, tells his 113,000 followers, that the crypto asset is likely to break out against Bitcoin in the short term. Did I mention I think XRP is going to pop? Odds XRP increases against Bitcoin here are high. Betting that XRP will outperform Bitcoin from current levels is extremely low risk, high reward bet to make, and I'm taking it. XRP price obviously took a hit in December when the SEC hit it. Earlier this month, XRP briefly exploded more than 70 cents. You guys remember that? I think somebody said it touched 74 cents, but lost a lot of that ground. Well, I hate to say it, but that ground is back. Still the 6th ranked crypto asset by market cap, trading around 51. Now it's pushing. Did it hit 53 yet, guys? At the time we're doing this, But what I think we're talking about outperforming, right? Outperforming in the sense of gains, not necessarily. I mean, what they're not saying is, okay, if Bitcoin is 47,000, then man, XRP is going to 50,000. That's not what they're saying. They're talking about outperforming, lower risk, because obviously the investment's lower. But again, the opportunity to 5x, 10x, 20x your money with the lower risk up front is certainly better, and basically saying that that's a pretty good one to take. Now let's go look at some of this other news right here. We've got enterprise blockchain firm R3 launches confidential business computing platform. Conclave is compatible with R3's blockchain platform core to enterprise, be fully integrated going forward. They've launched this new computing platform called Conclave. Says it can handle sensitive business data while keeping it secret. So this is interesting. Now we're talking about a play with businesses. According to an announcement, it'll combine a confidential computing with the Intel Software Guard extensions, which will help protect data from modification. Also provides an API that allows clients to write applications on any operating system and code of their language of choice. So it's kind of a nice little security play they're going for here. They'll make it available for an API, which will allow developers to connect to the service based on the commands that they can execute. And they're using the Rapid Intel guard extensions around it, so that's going to protect the actual data from any sort of modifications. And it basically paves the way for a new generation of trusted services which can detect fraud, reduce costs, build high value multi-party analytics, and where owners can know how to control it and where it's processed. So I imagine that this is going to be part of a trend. You're starting to see that with more and more businesses getting involved in the blockchain space. We're probably going to see that there's going to be a lot more concern around the privacy. Yeah, as an individual, we have concern around privacy, but a company has, especially if it's a public company, they've got shareholders they've got to account for. They got people, they've got employees, right? So protecting sensitive data, not to mention competitors. You know, we hear this all the time where there's been a breach. Was it customer information? No. But it might have been some proprietary information, maybe the inner workings of a software program. If that's breached, now the competitor has it. Now they can see exactly what they're doing. They might get some, purview to some financials, and that kind of espionage happens a lot. You try to guard against it, but I think that this is going to open up pretty much a brand new world as far as security, blockchain, and protecting that sensitive data out there. And it's nice that R3 is basically rolling this into their Corda sort of platform. So it's just going to be another option you'll be able to tick as you go through. So it'll be nice too. XRP growth and price seems independent of Bitcoin and altcoins. Yeah, it was funny that somebody pointed out saying that if Bitcoin was 47, then you had XRP was 0.47. It went to 48, it went to 0.48, dropped back down again. And it did seem to sort of mirror that for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of that's coincidence. I don't feel like it has broken out. Unfortunately, Bitcoin's broken way out ahead of it. And that decoupling started a long time ago, exactly. It started some time ago as far as when that actually, transpired. So let's look a little bit at this. Let's see. Okay, so again, the other thing we talk a lot about here is the idea of these venture capital funds. Now, venture capital is important to the space as a whole because there's a lot of new up and coming companies. Well, one of the older, exchanges in the U.S., Kraken, which also now is a bank, they just started a venture fund to target early stage crypto and tech startups. So they're also going to do tech as well, but they're the fourth largest exchange by volume. They've announced this new fund. I love this. There's so many new funds coming out. What does that mean? It means you've got a lot of brilliant people who want to become builders in the space. Maybe they got involved with crypto and they started saying, I might want to learn more about this. But as they started coming into the space, they wanted to learn a little bit more about it. They started building. Their developer, they got a team of developers. They said, hey, I'm looking for this. It apparently doesn't exist. I'm going to go build it. So this is going to be a lot more money. The startups selected will receive investments ranging from anywhere from $250,000 all the way up to $3 million. Now, when I say about early stage, these are early. We're talking about probably like seed round. Here, they're going to focus on fintech, crypto, protocols, on DeFi, AI, machine and deep learning, regulatory technology. I know who somebody could purchase that, and cybersecurity. So again, this is very good for the space. The more we get into this type of arena, the better it's going to be for almost everybody, because I lost my thought there. What was I going to say? I got to get a message to Jeff. Where is Jeff here anyway? But so we've heard a lot about Visa in the space. We've heard about what Visa's doing. Visa's going out there and they're doing all kinds of stuff. Well, one of the big competitors here stateside is called MasterCard. Guess what they're going to do? Support crypto payments in 2021. Yeah, they're going to directly support crypto payments. You and your ads here. Come on. Holy cow, did I just click on an ad? Looks like I did. There we go. Let's get rid of that puppy there. So they're ready for crypto. It just goes to show you how the space continues to build, how people are moving out there. We've got lots of investment coming into the space. You know, the number, who's getting all the money right now? It's all DeFi, it's all fintech related. You know, and fintechs have been getting it going back 2013, 2014, but now we're starting to see a little bit of a switch. A lot of that's moving kind of crossing a bunch of these together. So you have AI related stuff that's going to be moving into security, into the, you know, the banking structure, all this kind of stuff that's really pulling it all over the place. This is something that I really wanted to cover as well, because Iowa, you know, we're not getting regulation anywhere, but check this out. Iowa is introducing a bill to level the playing field. Weird. Where have we heard that before? For blockchain and smart contracts. The bill was introduced to bring blockchain tech on par with traditional contracts and record keeping. Now, this, in my opinion, is massive. Why? Because the traditional method is slow, it's cumbersome, there's a lot you have to worry about and do. So it was introduced by the Republican State Senator Mark Lofgren. It specifies that unless explicitly stated otherwise, any parties using distributed ledger technology to secure information have the same rights as those involving records secured by traditional means. Are you guys paying attention? Hello? Are you guys listening? Mass adoption. So what is this going to do for the smart contracts? What's this going to do for Flare? This has been one of the big stickling points, because a smart contract doesn't operate and doesn't have the same sort of, doesn't carry the same sort of legal jurisdiction as a smart contract. You have a regular standard contract, wet signature, meaning somebody signs off on a pen. This is absolutely huge news. I got super excited about this because as one state goes, you got Iowa that passes like this, and somebody else says, you know, we're another state, we want to pass this. One of the things about the United States is the fact that every state has its own constitution. It's trumped by, or actually not funny use of words, but it is basically overridden by, you know, the Constitution of the United States. But there are certain laws in where I live here in Florida that are different in Texas. They have their own legislative bodies. They have a House of Representatives. They have a Senate. They have instead of a president and a vice president, they have what's called a lieutenant governor and a governor. That acts as like the vice president and president, but of the state. That's what the governor's job is. And when I see this, I'm like, this is mega exciting. It also amends the definition of contract to include those secured using distributed ledger technology, and further includes smart contracts. This is big news. This is the biggest news. Wait to the end to pop this one. As such, no contract would be denied legal effect solely because it was a smart contract. Electronic record and electronic signature would also include all those secured using DLT. Now, Jeff and I have talked about this before. It's remarkable that for the longest, digital signature just caught up to being legal, you know, and using and signing contracts. Now, what they're talking about in Iowa is having the ability to not only to include a contract that's secured with distributed ledger, but also a smart contract, right? So when you build triggers into it, that's exactly where Flare is going, right? The smart contract. It's going to eliminate that problem with Ethereum and all the gas fees. It's going to work with oracles, which will be off-chain stuff. A trigger that happens off-chain through an oracle, the oracle will then bring back something, let's say, from a database. And building all these triggers, now it's going to be legal in Iowa. And I suspect soon it'll start becoming legal in more states, if not something that bubbles up national. And I can see Wyoming going in on this next. You know, I believe this is the very first time this has happened in the U.S. I've been waiting for this news. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to pop this soon. I thought we'd get some legislation, maybe move through Congress first. I thought that maybe we might get something first, but the fact that Iowa's doing this now gives me a lot of hope, because this is super exciting news, man. And again, when you're in business and stuff, now you can move to, it's going to open up, like, let's say the real estate business. It's going to open up all kinds of opportunities for business to stop using traditional contracts. I mean, a lot of people have moved over to e-sign, believe it or not. Banks still use faxes. I work with a number of banks. They still, can you fax it to me? Yeah, it's all done electronically, but it's mind-numbingly horrendous that they're still using fax machines. but that's how they want it. They have a system, and it comes into the fax, and that's how they do it. And that's the procedure you have to follow. Now, I know it sounds silly and weird, but that's what they have to follow. And it's just one of those things. But I like what's going on, in the whole entire space. It's exciting. We talk about, look at some of the stories we covered even tonight. And I also want to remind you guys to smash those thumbs up. Thank you, Connie, for reminding us all to smash them. We get in here, we're like having fun, we're talking in the chat, we're like, whoa, me? You're talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You didn't smash that thumbs up. Come on, man. Give it. You're still here. That means you're enjoying what's going down. You're getting what I'm dishing out here. So you do that. We also have a podcast. You can subscribe to that. I'm not going to drop the link now, but it's pod.co/onthechain. But just go on your favorite. You can whatever you listen to podcasts on, whether it's Spotify or it's Google, podcasts, or it's Apple. Just go look for On the Chain Live, and you will find us there, and we upload them. This one will be uploaded tonight, and some of you guys even came here through the podcast, and now sometimes you want to take it with you, or you miss an episode, and you're on the run, boom, you can turn your phone off, still listen to it. That's what I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I have to tell you that I absolutely love it. So that's really all I got, guys. I really wanted to thank you guys for turning up. I don't know what happened to Jeff. I'm going to have to send a search party out for him because I don't know what happened to him. And one other thing that I wanted to share before we get out of here, when it comes to XRP, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's magic. We will be back here tomorrow night. We're taking the night off. We're not here on Friday nights, but Jeff will be doing it 8 a.m. early morning for if you live in the States, it's afternoon, or it's later in the day if you're elsewhere. But if you're in Europe, I may or may not be doing one on Sunday. It's still up in the air. Depends on what I'm going to be doing on Sunday, but I want to let you guys know we'll be back on Sunday through Thursday, 8 o'clock. This was a little bit later. Doesn't usually happen that way, but sometimes it happens, but that's what it is. I'm Chip. This is On the Chain Live, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.